Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the transformation in the ETL process. As we have earlier spoken, ETL is nothing but the extraction, transformation, and loading. So already we have discussed in more brief in the last lectures. So now we are going to talk about the second phase, the second stage of this three-stage process: ETL, extraction, transformation, and loading. So we have already talked about what do you mean by extraction and which are the different methods of the extraction. Today we are going to talk about the transformation process, what actually a transformation process is, and how we are doing the transformation, and which are the different parameters which are there which affect the transformation that we are going to talk about. And once I will be completing this transformation and loading, after that I will revise the distributed database which is there in your syllabus for the IA1. Already two modules we have discussed. Now about the distributed database I will be discussing once I will be completing this particular module. Okay. So already you know what do you mean by transformation, because whenever we are extracting the data from multiple sources, we are that data will get transformed, will get converted an into a unique format that is called as the transformation. Actually, a basic definition of the transformation. Okay. So whenever we are collecting the data from the external sources, those data, whenever we are extracting the data either from the external sources or the internal sources, those data will be always raw, and we cannot use it directly in our database, in our data warehouse, right? Because that data will be having much noise. Basically it will be completely noisy data. So first of all we need to remove that noise, then we need to clean that data. That data needs to be cleansed, and we need to map that, and then we need to transform, right? So there are multiple steps are involved in the transformation. First of all we need to remove the noise, then after that we need to clean the data, after that we need to map the data, and then we need to transform the data. So these are the few basic steps involved in the transformation process, right? And after once we are able to transform that, or we are able to extract that data, and we are able to transform that data, then we can use that data in the ETL process to generate the different business intelligence reports, and whatever the analysis we want to do, that we can do. But as we can see, this is the what I can say very crucial or very important step. This transformation process, or this transformation step, is very important. It plays a vital role in the ETL process. Now sometimes it may be possible that whatever the data is extracted from the internal or external sources, that the will not require any kind of what I can say any kind of cleansing anytime. It That data will not contain any kind of noise. That data will not be having any kind of null values. So we need not clean that data. If there is no noise, then why to remove if there is no noise, then there is no issue of removing the noise. And if the data is already clean, so that type of data is called as direct move, or whatever the data we are getting without noise, without cleansing, that data, when we are moving to the data warehouse, that is called as the direct move, or that kind of data is called as the pass through data, because it doesn't require any kind of cleansing or any kind of cleaning. Okay, so that is called as actually a pass through data or the direct move data. Okay, then see, in the transformation we need to have a customized operation, because it is not like that we are having a standardized formula and we are going to put our data into that standardized formula and it will get converted into a unique values or unique format. It is not like that. We need to have a customized operations on that data, depending on our requirement, depending on the user requirement. Accordingly we should be able to customize that data. That's why some customized operations we are requiring. For example, if I am having, it might be possible that in one table you are having the what I can say only the names of the customers, and in other tables I am having the surnames of the customers. So and now if I want to have the full names of the customers, I need to combine that data from both the tables, right? So this is what I can say. What I can say, it is nothing but the customization. Whenever I am having a scenario like I am having a same person, but the name of that person, first name of that person is in one table, and the last name of that same person is in the another table. Now how I can combine that? So in the in the database I can't get that directly, right? So if I want to have that, it is an external thing I need to apply. I need to customize that data, right? Then so another thing, it might be possible that when we have started with the data warehouse, from that day onwards I am giving you an example of the Reliance Mart or the D Mart. So there I am having suppose I want to check what was the sale of a particular item in a week for last 3 months, in a first week for last 3 months. So that I can't get directly in the from the databases, because database will give me only tables, it will not give me any kind of analysis. So if I want to have if I want to generate some business intelligence reports, then there this particular process will be very important, because that data we are going to transform, and there are different integration issues are there that we need to take care, right? That's why whenever we are going to bring that data in our data warehouse, we are going to transform that data into our data warehouse into a particular format. We will be we need to require, or we need to concatenate multiple tables, multiple databases together. So that is the what I can say, the basic the important thing in the transformation. Okay, now there are certain integrity issues are there. As we are discussing this, there are certain integrity issues are there which we need to take care when we are discussing, when we are talking about the transformation process. So we'll see one by one which are the different issue, the integrity issues are there. So the first issue you can see, now there might be possible that I am having a say I am having because generally there will be many spelling mistakes. There, for example, some people are writing Omkar, OMKAR. Some people are writing Onkar, ONKAR. So you can see the name of the person is the name of the person. Whenever we are entering, it might be changed, because some here the example has been given John and John. So some people are writing JON, some people are writing JOHN. Like for example, I have given you an Indian names. When we are writing Omkar, OMKAR, some people are writing ONKAR. So there may be a spelling, there may be different spelling for the same person. So whenever we are integrating, suppose I am having this scenario, एका टेबल मध्ये त्याच माणसाचं नाव, ज्याचं नाव ओंकार आहे, त्याचं नाव suppose OMKAR. If like if he has entered like that OMKAR, and in another table it has been entered as OMKAR. So you can see the person is same, but the name of that person is different in two tables, right? Now whenever we are extracting those two tables, and whenever we are transforming that table into a unique format, there will be a problem, because I am having the same name but the spellings are different, right? So in that case there will be a we can't integrate that, we need to clean that data then first of all, right? The another one, the another integrity issue is that the multiple ways to denote the company names. For example, Google and Google Inc. Example is the best example is number of times we are writing Finolex Academy of Management and Technology, and sometimes we are writing FAMT Ratnagiri. So you can see there are two different names. Now computer doesn't know if the FAMT is the same as Finolex Academy of Management and Technology, right? So there will be a multiple ways to denote a same company name or an institute name. Then uh, after that, might be possible that for the same number, for the same account, multiple account numbers will be there. So in that case again there will be an issue, because we can't integrate the data for the same account, because for one customer there are multiple accounts are there, and multiple account numbers will be generated. In that case also there will be an issue, there will be a problem. Now number of times you see that there will be some, what I can say, while filling the data, number of times when the user is not, what I can say, uh, literate, at that time he leaves the data blank. जो data fill करायचा असो तो पण तो blank ठेवतो. In that case there will be an issue, because whenever we are fetching the data from to the, whenever we are extracting the data, after extraction you will see that ज्या ज्या field fill करायच्या होत्या त्या field completely filled नव्हत्या. So in that case there will be an issue, because number of times you see that in the address bar, address line 1, address line 2, address line 3 and address line 4, number of times it will be, it will not be filled completely. So that will lead to certain kind of problem. Yeah. Right. For example, number of times they are asking the email IDs, but some people are writing their email IDs and some people are keeping that blank. So it will lead to an issue. Right. Then now, so these are the, what I can say, some the data integrity problems which I am talking about. But apart from this, these are some integrity, the data integrity problems are there. But apart from this, we are having some kind of validations that we need to do, so that these kind of problems will get mitigated. Getting? So whatever the data integrity problems we are talking about, these problems we can mitigate. We cannot completely remove, but at least we can minimize that. Okay, so that minimization of the minimization of these integrity problems can be done by using these kind of validations. So the first validation you can see is filtering. The first validation is nothing but the filtering. Means what? We can select only some columns. We don't select the whole table. Instead of that, what we can do, we can select the columns which we require. That is nothing but the fragmentation. So we can apply the fragmentation on this. Right, that's why we have studied fragmentation first, because we will require this those kind of technique here. Don't select the whole table at a time. Select the table, select only the columns which we require actually. Right, that is called as filtering. Then we are having the another validation we can use. We can use the lookup tables or the rules for the data standardization. Now, what do you mean by lookup tables? I hope so. You people have already studied what do you mean by lookup tables in the DBMS. So we can, lookup tables are nothing but the tables of tables is called as lookup table, I can say, in a simple way. Like our indexing, whenever we are indexing, whenever we are doing an indexing, it is kind of lookup table. So for data standardization we can use the lookup table, because by using the indexing or by using the table, for if I am having multiple tables, and for those multiple tables I am keeping one table, that is nothing but the lookup table. So lookup table will uh, make us the lookup table will make the data standardization more clear. Okay, then the character set conversion and encoding handling. Now of course, whatever the character set we are going to use, or whatever the set conversions we are going to use, that should be handled properly, an encoding scheme. Because you can see, when we are doing an encoding in the SQL, now you don't know, because I haven't shown you how the encoding is to be done. I hope so I have shown you when we have started with the first practical. The encoding is nothing but whenever we are writing the lines of code, that will get converted into its own format. The SQL itself converts it into its own format. That is the encoding scheme which is there. But this kind of encoding scheme will be different as for the SQL, for MySQL, for MongoDB. So there will be different schemes for each and every type of systems which we are using for the what I can say, coding. Then the next one is the conversion of units. Of course, whenever we are writing something, so it is not like that ki whatever the data we are writing, that will be in only one unit. For example, might be possible some people might put their salary in dollars, some people might put their salary in rupees, some people might put their salary in pounds. So there will be different unit for same, for the salary. But whenever they are putting like that, we need to convert it into a unique format. That's why number of times when we have talked about this particular Example, we have spoke about this particular step transformation. There number of times I have told you that we need to convert the data into unique format. Why unique format? Because this is the better example. Number of times the users are putting their salaries into dollars, into rupees, into pounds, so there will be an issue, right? That's why we need to convert the conversion of we need to convert the data into a proper units. Then the data threshold validations, for example, the age cannot be more than 200, more than 300, like that. So that kind of that kind of impositions we need to put, right? So you if you are allowing this if you are allowing what I can say, the threshold to put, if you are not putting any kind of threshold, then the user can put anything. then then the another thing is, the important thing is, the required field should not be blank. The required field should not be blank. The required field should not be blank. Just now we have spoke about, we have talked about this, that the user should not left the blanks, the user should not left any kind of blank fields, right? Then then we have already seen what do you mean by fragmentation. We are putting merging, and we are putting splitting operation, the split operation and merge operations. Okay, then the last one is, the lookups can merge the data, and the last one is, you can see, using the complex data validations. For example, if I am putting two columns in a row are empty, then we are going to automatically reject that. So some kind of rules also we need to write, so that this kind of integrity problems will get resolved. Okay, so these are some, what I can say, the important uh, parameters of the transformation step. So this is the second step of the ETL process, right? Now I'll talk about the last step, the step number 3, that is called as loading. So once we are ready with our data, now by this step, loading step, you can see already the data is extracted and already it has been transformed into a unique format. Now there is no issue of the noisy data, there is no issue of the cleaning, because once the transformation is over, means what, the data is already cleaned and there is no noise, means what, the data is already there, the data is already ready to be loaded into the data warehouse, right? Now the main scenarios are there. Now you will say, sir, what is the problem? Once the data is ready with us, then why can't we directly load it into a data warehouse? For that process, because this kind of data, whatever the data will be ready after the transformation process, that data will be huge in volumes, because you know already what is the size of the data warehouse. The size of the data warehouse is much bigger, roughly I can say from 100 t from what I can say 100 GB to 100 TB. So this kind of big data, this kind of large volume of the data we need to handle, right? That's why we should be we should load the data in such a way that our data warehouse or whatever the process we are going to perform, that should be optimized. It should be, it should give me more, it should give me much performance, right? So that's why whenever we are handling the huge volume of the data, that we need to transform, that we need to load that data in a very short span of time. So that's why it should be it should perform in a very faster way, in an optimized way, and the performance should be also higher, right? Suppose in between, whenever we are loading the data, in between there will be an error, any kind of error, either a power failure, either any kind of network issue. So if there will be an error, that error also we need to handle properly, and we need to put a checkpoints such that at which particular point the error has occurred, and when we will restart the loading process, then from which particular point it has failed, on that point onwards it should start. It is not like that we are having an 1 TB of data to be uploaded or to be loaded into a data warehouse, and once the 25 GB has been transferred or loaded into a data warehouse, and after that there will be an error, right? Or I can say 75 GB of the data is already loaded into a data warehouse, and if there is a power failure or is there any network issue, then we need to restart the whole process again. Mean to say, again I need to load 75 GB of the data into a data warehouse. Now you can assume, or you can imagine how much data or how much uh, resources will get wasted if I am doing so. So that's why whenever we are loading, we need to put a checkpoints in such a way that, or we need to have a recovery mechanism in such a way that if a 75 GB has been transferred or loaded into a data warehouse, and if there is a power cut, then what to do, right? In then we should do in such a way that once this 75 GB has already loaded, and if there is a power failure after 75 GB, then whatever the 25 GB are left, only that data we need to load into a data warehouse, right? So these are the things that we need to take into consideration, and that too we need to do by using the data integrity and without making any loss, without making any data loss, right? That's why I am talking about checkpoints. And that this kind of process will be monitored. This kind of process will be monitored by the admins. He can either resume that, he can either cancel that, and he can load the data as per the requirement and as per the performance of the data warehouse. Okay, now there are certain types of the loading are there. The first type is called as the initial loading or initial load. This kind of process, the initial load, is nothing but populating all the data warehouse tables. Initial load means whatever the data we are getting in the whatever the databases we are going to upload, that will get directly uploaded. That is the initial load, right? Then we are having the incremental load. Initial load means what? If I am saying that the data warehouse empty by somewhat extent, then whatever the databases, whatever the tables in those databases, that will be directly moving or directly loading into the data warehouse. Then the second case, I am having the incremental loading. This incremental loading is what the applying ongoing changes when we are requiring any kind of when we will be requiring periodically. Mean to say, if I have loaded now, if I am giving you an example of week wise loading. Now this week I have loaded the data into a data warehouse. Next week I will not upload, or I will not load the data. Next to next week, when the next to next week come, then I am going to upload, and this cycle I am going to repeat. So that is called as incremental loading. Then I am having full refresh. So whenever we are going to erase or we are going to delete the contents, or we are going to delete some or more tables, and we are going to upload some fresh data, then this kind of loading is used. That is called as full refresh. If I want to delete some or more tables, and I want to upload the fresh tables, then this kind of process will get utilized, right? Now there are the load verifications also, like our transformation process, the transformation verification. So likewise we are having the load verification. So these points we need to verify. The first thing is ensure that the key field in the data is neither missing or null. So whenever we are coming to this particular, because already we are assuming that if I am in the loading process, means what? Already the missing values means noisy data, and the cleaning process is done. So once I am in this particular process, means that, or in this particular stage, means that I should not apply, or I should not get any kind of missing values or any kind of null values in my data warehouse. Second case, the second, what I can say, not the case, the second verification step, the trace modeling, view based and target tables. Whatever the viewing and whatever the transformation we are going to do, that should also be completed on the target tables, because those tables we are requiring in the data warehouse. Then check that the combined values and the calculated measures, means whatever the unique format we have converted the data into, that also we need to check once. Then the data checks and dimension tables as well as the history tables, means whatever the time dimension we are using in the data warehouse and whatever the other dimension tables are there in the data warehouse, that also we need to check once. And lastly, whatever the reports we are going to generate on those data, that we are going to, whatever the business intelligence reports we are going to generate, that also we need to check the depending on the dimension and the fact tables we have already uploaded into the data warehouse. Because already the data warehouse has been uploaded and now I want to generate the different reports. But for that, before generating the business intelligence or whatever the reports we are going to generate, before generating any kind of reports, just check once whatever the fact tables and the dimension tables are there in our data warehouse. Because these fact tables and dimension tables we are not going to get from the transformation process, we need to do it externally, or we need to do it in the data warehouse. Okay, so these are the verification process of the loading. Okay, and there are certain tools by everything we can do. The first example is by SQL we can do. By SQL we can build the data warehouse. Then here some example has been given, that is MarkLogic, the Amazon Redshift. So there are many tools you will get online, right? But some are paid, many of these are paid, right? Like SQL is paid. If you are using SQL and you are not able to build any kind of dimension table, first of all, right? So that's why some are the pay, some tools are paid, and some there are some tools which are free but very less. Okay, so this is all about the ETL process.